Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Rezero, Season 1, Episode 11. Last episode, we had a continuation of the battle between Rem and these amazing dogs that are being slaughtered.
Vicious,
now.
horrible, mean dogs.
Yeah, a little bit. But no, last episode, we got a little bit more of information regarding Rem and Ram's past that I hope is more, explored. Ram does not have a horn, unlike her twin older sister. And we kind of saw the consequences of what not having a horn does. Mm-hmm. Sure, we got the reveal that we have clairvoyance as an ability, but when it comes to actual physical combat, Ram is not as capable as Rem, and it's probably because of that demon form that Rem's able to access.
We also have cool lore about the treatment of twins
in the demon culture.
That they were allowed to live.
Yeah. Outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are hoping that Subaru is able to knock some sense into Rem.
Yeah. We have, this show really does have great cliffhangers. And this was one of those. We literally just end with Subaru in the air, mid-air, this, gallant effort. He is so brave, and we don't know what happens.
Yeah. Part of me is like, oh yeah, definitely it'll work out. But Subaru's the type of protagonist that isn't like, oh yeah, my physical abilities, the thing that makes me, my physical prowess isn't the thing that shines the most. I'm thinking that, just by his attempt alone, probably Rem will come to her senses and,
maybe just
help.
telling her to smile is enough.
Maybe. You mentioned it in the discussion last episode that potentially the weak spot of this dog shaman thing is the bald spot. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that at the moment. But any other expectations going forward? Are we going to beat this threat this episode? Is that going to be the end of this episode? Are we going to move on afterwards?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think that we will defeat the puppy shaman and Rem will come back to her senses. We will probably go back to the mansion and learn maybe a little bit more about Rem from Rem, maybe, once the horn disappears.
Yeah.
We might get to have a conversation with Rem and herself and her perspective.
I would like to know if there's going to be physical ramifications from everything Rem's done versus these mob beasts, because the entire time that Subaru was recovering and unconscious in the village, Rem's been getting to work, I hope that the physical toll that it's going to take on her isn't that big. Rem's my favorite character, I think. I love Rem so much.
She might just need a really long nap.
I feel that.
And Subaru...
Maybe some head pats, in the lap.
Yeah, and Subaru has been really good with working in the mansion. He's had a lot of practice. So...
Take care of Rem's chores for a little bit,
I doubt that they'll, miss Rem's presence in terms of her maid duties. Subaru can handle it with Rem.
Can you imagine Rem's reaction, though? Nothing would motivate her to get out of bed and get better sooner than watching Ram and Subaru try to handle all the tasks that Rem does perfectly.
Right.
All right, I'm ready. You?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Blood Moon. Some backstory. Ram is so protective of Rem already,
older sister. This child is. And for Ram to have been the one to lose her horn?
Yeah. Interesting. This is such an interesting flip.
She's Ram's sister. Oh, and it switches.
Yeah.
From what we know. She'll be good at other things? Like chores?
That sounds great. Oh, yes.
She's gonna be her and find something that she's good at, and that people can appreciate her for it.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, is this the moment? There was fire behind them.
Oh, Ram. Interesting shot.
The effect.
I know. Who's this point of view from?
This is a dream? Like when they held hands with Subaru.
What?
The witch.
Her horn.
Like a relief.
Yeah. Oh. She thinks everybody's just pitying her.
Atonement. I'm glad that Ram has regained some strength.
She's putting so much responsibility. Yeah.
Oh. I'm dumb too. I love when he says things that they obviously will have no concept of what he means. I love it.
Oh!
The music!
God, I love when they play intros in the actual show.
That was beyond. Oh my gosh! I thought I was wrong! They did put a fruit in his pocket. Boscom.
Roswell? She knows him so well. Oh.
Oh.
Hell yeah! Roswell's so powerful.
So I don't know that, Ram. Oh.
What Ram doesn't have, you do. Oh. Oh. Oh.
You can never forget about the Bell Hunter.
No. A date. Yes.
Doing it all together. Sharing it.
Okay, that was Rezero, Season 1, Episode 11. Couple questions, just to get on the same page. Number 1, it seems like one of the children who was saved left the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's the blue-haired girl?
I think my current guess is the blue-haired girl, because that was why we had to go further into the forest.
Yeah.
Was to say, oh, please, there's one more child left. And it's almost like using your own, like, goodness against you. Like, of course Subaru's not going to leave one child behind after saving, like, a big chunk of them. Like, he's going to want to save all of them.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, using someone's goodness as their downfall.
But the choice to, like, not unveil yourself then, if it truly was her, like, what was the, like, would she not be able to, add more power to the fight, to a level that would certainly have killed Subaru or taken him, or, you know?
Or maybe it was just someone there to observe.
Are they that scared of Rem, too? Or Ram? Like just like Rem mainly, but like, because it seems like any inkling of like magical fight, whether it's Rem or definitely Roswaal, this person, like, they know where to stop and not go too far.
Yeah, it seems like Roswaal was definitely, I mean, that's another question. Doesn't it seem like it's definitely on purpose in this iteration of the life that was lived that Roswaal leaves the mansion?
Yeah.
And obviously someone called him away because in this life, Subaru and Rem are in the village, or more aware of the barrier being broken. There's other things that are happening that obviously Roswaal's called away in order to make sure he's not around.
Yeah. In
time to save everyone, to get him away, get him out of their hair.
I wonder how morally sound Roswaal is, because like we have an intention from him, a goal from him of killing the dragon, right? The dragon. But at the same time, it could totally not be, but it seemed like Roswaal was the person to cut off Ram's horn and take her from the village. Like, they both had the same type of cloak, the same ruffles on the shirt, the person who was holding Ram on the night of the fire. And the fire comparison to what Roswaal brought to the fight at the end of this episode with the mob beasts. I think that whether that is him or is not him, it could potentially be like us or them trying to make us think that it was him on that night, you know?
That, or it's a fake out that as soon as the horn gets cut off of, you know, Ram, that Roswaal ends up coming in and whisking them away and saving them. That I don't think Roswaal works for the witch, and they obviously have a hatred of the witch, the twins, and what she did to them, what the witch did to them. So I would almost imagine that Roswaal came into the village afterwards and was not this person that cuts off the horn. And
arrives
right after to whisk them away and save them, save their lives, give them a purpose. Obviously, I think by that last scene with Roswaal and Ram, we can infer that he possibly even keeps her alive. I don't know. We can debate and talk and theorize about what almost owing her body to Roswaal means.
So it seemed like it obviously didn't seem like it was Roswaal who did the cutting off of the horn. That being said, like after I believe Ram was the person who was expressing like a sense of relief after Ram's horn was cut off, and that's what she's been atoning for, which I'd love to talk about more in a little bit.
That is also something we need to talk about.
But in terms of Roswaal, like he is getting something out of that whole thing happening, because I don't imagine if on one hand, he could be the savior that gave Rem and Ram a life and a goal, right, after they lost everything. But on another hand, he also is gaining something that could be a step towards the penultimate goal of killing that dragon.
Right, he might have gone there in order to recruit partners in crime of demons for his goal of defeating the dragon. He's hard to kind of decide on in my heart on how much I feel like he is inherently good, or where on a scale of good to bad is he. I think he's probably just in this gray area of, obviously he has his own motives and goals, and they might not line up perfectly with Amelia or Subaru, but there's still like, they at least line up here in terms of like, he has no need to kill them. Yeah. And but maybe Amelia will help with his goal.
I think probably the only sense of like malice, the thing that makes me suspicious of a malicious, like, you know, intent from Roswaal is the end of the episode. And it's not like he wasn't doing anything necessarily malicious, but the vibe of like, now shall we begin? I was unable to attend to you for a whole night after all. I'm sorry, please do. It's like, is he keeping Ram alive?
See, that's what that would have no malicious intent at that point. But he's either giving her, so you know how she has very limited mana and wind magic? Yeah. It's possible that he's giving her his magic, basically. And without Roswaal doing this, she wouldn't have any, because she can't bring in mana and you know, in order to use magic. So it's possible that he does this in order to keep her. I do like theorizing about the actually keeping her alive, because she is a demon, and if you were to completely take off her horn, like, what actually happens to demons when they lose their horn? If that's their like source of life and power,
that's true, then
that could literally be her life force gone from her.
And the whole idea of like, my body has belonged to you ever since that fiery night could be like, you've saved my life and you are keeping me alive. I am devoted to you because I can never repay that debt.
Yeah, like she's devoted as a servant to him and as a maid to him, and whatever goals he seeks in the future, because I mean, I would like to think that in Ram's brain, of course she wouldn't want to die, because she has this whole image of herself as an older sister, that she wants to be this older sister and protective figure to Rem. And so if someone was offering to her to give her a little bit of power, to give her a life so that she can continue to live safely and with her sister, then she would definitely be devoted to them.
Yeah. You know what really, to get back a little bit to the whole Rem's reaction, the fact...
Upon the horn being lost?
The fact that she reacted the way that she did makes her motive and her guilt and her reason for doing and living how she's living feel so much more like realistic and heavy, because it's like it's the sense of like, you felt a genuine emotion and you have so much guilt forever feeling that.
So I would like to like get into that whole event more. When I first saw the scene of the horn, you know, being cut off and us getting that close up of the mouth with the tears, the sense of relief with it.
I thought
it was Ram. And I was like, wow, Ram has had all this pressure. We're talking this whole conversation in the show, this whole dialogue with Subaru, Rem, and Ram about how she's a dummy for all the pressure she places on herself. So I was like, well, obviously my brain can go to a place where Ram has so much pressure on herself as a child. Yeah. That it's probably a huge relief to no longer have all those expectations and all that pressure.
Yeah.
But then
it was kind of hard to see, because there's like, Ram has pink hair and the entire scene is being lit up with red, so that I thought Rem's hair looked like a little red here, and it misidentified it as Ram initially, but because then it was a close-up of it too. But,
I almost feel like, are there dialogue pieces highlighted in blue or pink in the flashback based on which one it is?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I was like,
it's
usually that could
just
have lended to it being Rem saying that. But in the moment when I watched it, I thought it was Ram.
The blue stroke is usually just for
flashbacks.
Yeah, things that have happened in the past.
Okay.
But I wonder. I have the ending piece, the ending title card of this episode is Rem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it only a matter of time before we get Ram? What the interworkings of her personality and her emotions are this episode? Because at one point I was like, oh man, Rem, you're saying so much right now, and I think that Ram needs to be included in this conversation. But I think that the point of Rem being able to put herself out there and get all of this out in the open to Subaru with the kind of person he is was really strong for Rem's character, but it also did an interesting narrative choice for putting Ram into their own pocket that needs to be explored on as well.
And we also get this division. Ram is more Roswell. There is a division there of we've gotten this created comparison, I think, between even Subaru and Rem's personalities. It's almost like we have teams of two, and Betty's just Betty wants to be a team of two with Puck, but I'm sorry, Betty. Puck is Amelia's, and he's not going to leave her side. But I feel like they're a team of two, and I almost feel like now we're getting this idea of possibly Rem and Subaru having this really great friendship dynamic, companionship, camaraderie, they fight together.
Yeah.
And especially because of the comparisons you can make between their personalities and their values, their self-sacrifice, the fact that they are so eager and ready to apologize. And we know from Amelia's conversations with Subaru that she is I don't want you to say you're sorry so much. Yeah. But both of them still have that attitude, and Subaru even says you're dumb and I'm dumb, but you're dumber.
Yeah. I think that Subaru is such a unique protagonist in any terms of fiction or anime that I've watched. He is definitely in his own space because his emotional intelligence, is that a good way to phrase it?
Yeah.
Is off the charts, and I can imagine how in a non-fantasy world that resilience would be met, and that optimism and positivity and hopefulness, because in a real life situation, a lot of times that isn't met with the best response, right? But in these unique situations in this fantasy world where you unfortunately have somebody like Rem who has a traumatic past and has a lot weighing on her mind, Subaru is the best person in the mansion to be the person talking to her, and that's Subaru's superpower. Mm-hmm. That's that is his protagonist. That's the reason he's who he is.
And there's this whole definite theme or energy even in this episode of a reminder that you're not alone and that you should lean on someone. When Subaru was going through, I think it was the episode that was I cried. The title was something like that. And the episode where he ends up allowing Amelia to do something for him and to comfort him and to lay his head on her lap and end up crying to her, that we already have this conversation of you don't have to go at it alone. You can lean on other people. And we have in this episode Subaru saying this to Rem and offering to walk, with their arms around each other's shoulders. And I think that's this theme that we're going to be seeing. And it's what we've already been seeing of, you can't do this alone. No one can.
Yeah.
And you need to be supportive of each other and lean on each other, because you might be good at this, but bad at that. But guess what? Your friend is really good at that thing you're bad at.
Yeah.
And you need each other in order to survive. And for Subaru, the survival is life or death.
Yeah. And for him to be the person spouting that, motivation is interesting too, because he's the most solitude character. Like, he's the character that's easiest to fall into like a sense of solitude and like loneliness, I think, out of everybody because of his circumstances.
Yeah, he feels solitary probably because he can't open up about his situation, the return to death from death.
I feel like one of the most devastating things that could ever happen to Subaru is not only death and the reliving of that, but potential betrayal in the people that he has laid so much trust in. Like, if this show ever took a route of like, I don't think it would be Amelia, but like Roswaal or Ram or like whatever, like having a malicious side to them, or anybody else in the future that he would put his trust in or lean on, that would be the biggest knife in the back to Subaru that could exist, I think.
See, I was thinking about that when you brought up how people in like our real world would react to a personality like Subaru, and one of my first thoughts was, oh, he'd definitely be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
For sure.
And we haven't really seen someone actually taking advantage of him yet, and it be clear. It's possible right now to me that Roswaal is like, oh, cool, this will help me out on my path.
Yeah. And
so he's not necessarily wholly taking advantage of Subaru, I'm going to say, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know yet, obviously. But in the feelings that I have right now, there might be like, I'm getting something out of this, but you're also getting something out of this. Where our paths are crossing at the moment, and it's good for both of us to be here.
Yeah, it's mutually beneficial at the moment.
Mutually beneficial.
Yeah. I think my only concern or doubt that would ever come from Ram is based off of her unwavering mission at protecting her sister. And I wonder if there's any type of like, Roswaal, I will do literally anything you ask, regardless of what it is, as long as you can guarantee Rem's safety. Because, like, even from the beginning, that crazy flashback we got with, like, the village chief demon, Ram has always been the person who's, like, looking out for and protecting Rem.
And with that whole Roswaal conversation with Ram, I feel like it was just probably not just me that you can get this slightly uncomfortable feeling with the dialogue that is being said and the way that they are interacting in that scene, that
Sitting
you're like, am I misunderstanding what is being said here? And
which is totally possible.
And I don't know where I was going with that. I was going somewhere. I don't know where. I'm lost now.
What do you think of the idea of Rem putting Ram on a pedestal? Like, so I think on one hand, it is very, like, I can totally understand that Rem has had her horn now much longer than Ram ever did, and is excelling at all of these different things. So could actually be, and regardless of if Subaru just met them or not, the person who is more capable and more skilled at this. But on the other hand, I'm like, Ram, we saw what she was capable of previously as well.
But she was called a prodigy. I mean, prodigies are good for a kid their age, but does that mean that they will continue to have like great growth stats? Maybe not. Maybe
it's all derived from the fact that Ram was, without nothing, was always used to trying and having to push herself those extra steps and not even getting anywhere. And Ram, everything came to her easily at first, at least. We also still have, from 2 episodes, keep an eye on that too, between the sisters leaving the mansion, which still, I'm like, what? It has to be for Roswaal, right? It has to be like a weapon for him, or like an item for him,
or a mistrust of something.
We also got a glimpse of a character I don't know if we've ever seen before.
Oh, it was probably Roswell's original maid that trained Rem and Ram.
That's what I'm going to gather from it. Oh my god, seeing Rem like hurt her finger cutting and knowing like the parallel to Subaru doing the same.
I think that she's actually very similar to Subaru.
Yeah. I only imitate what my sister could do. It's so sad. What do you think happened to the previous maid-ish person that we're thinking was a maid?
I don't know. You could go to the direction where when Ram says that her body belongs to him, it might mean in some, like, he utilizes her as, like, something, a battle maid, a life force, I don't know. Something that he ends up stealing from them when it seems like what we got was that he needs to give something to her.
Yeah.
But maybe this maid, I don't know, could lean towards it. Roswell's bad guy.
I need to know more about this blonde maid.
Is it because she has sharp teeth?
Her design is amazing. She has sharp teeth. Her eyebrows look like she's like, they're very emotive, expressive, like one's raised above the other. Why do you try so hard? Like,
yeah, I like her. I like the design too.
I love it. I just need to know. Because if there was previously 3, what happened?
Right, it's not
There'd
like...
only be 2.
It's not like after, they've probably been there for 7 years. I don't know how old they are.
Did she do something wrong? Did she
do something wrong? But she looks young to retire. But then again, she could be some other being other than a human and could have actually lived like for 500 years. And she's just ready to retire now. And I'd be like, you do you. You retire. You deserve it.
You deserve it. You've worked hard all these years. They finally found replacements. You've trained them up, you know.
Is she that main vase, that big vase on the shelf?
Honestly, I don't think you're too far off with that guess. It's either, like the main vase being either her or Roswell himself, right? And the left and right, because they're always standing on his left and right. I don't know.
Roswell is, I guess, going to continue to be a question mark for me, and I think that's probably a good thing, that I'm supposed to be, like, unsure and a little confused of his motives, because I think what is being hinted at this whole time is that there is a political element and theme that is happening in this world, and we cannot forget the status of King and what Amelia's training for and getting ready for and why the Bowel Hunter was even after her.
Yeah.
We can't forget about those things, even though it probably would be easy to like let it slip by you when we've been just with Subaru trying to survive.
Yeah. I only have like 2 more things. Shamak, the whole use of that was amazing, and I love that it was only possible from the boko fruit that the kids gave him with the bug.
I thought that they had put the boko fruit in his pocket, and I said it, and then I was like, oh, darn it. It looked like that, but it was like some bug. And then for it to actually have been in his pocket, I was like, yes.
It was so cool. And also, my last thing is that we got like a shot of Subaru's cast or leg, and there was writing on it. Now, do you think that this is some magical like incantation that you're writing on somebody's cast so that his leg will heal quicker, or do you think that it's like all the buddies in the mansion just signing the cast?
I don't know, but I'm gonna go with it's some type of seal or spell, or you put it there as a charm in order for it to heal. Like a good luck charm.
So not just like all the friends, you know?
I wish that I thought it was that. And I wish that it was that.
Yeah.
Because I would want to see how everyone signed the cast and what they would write for Subaru. I have one more thing. So I'm curious, if you said you had 2 more before that last one. That was your last one? Okay. I gotta say, Subaru's idea of a date is probably one of the most romantic dates.
I agree.
There is nothing better than experiencing something side by side with the person you like, eating the same food, walking the same street, looking at the same view.
It's what's important.
Experiencing it all together.
It's the most important part of the date.
Together.
Yeah.
Sharing in something, sharing in a moment, and making memories together. And I was like, Subaru, you are a true romantic.
It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter what you do. As long as you guys are together, experiencing the same thing. That's what matters. And I love it. And I hope we get to see the date. And I hope he doesn't die on the date.
Will they, won't they? Will they actually go on a date?
Yeah.
We get a line from Subaru to Rem, like, thank you for being my first date.
Yep.
Even though she doesn't remember.
All right, that's all I have you.
Mhm.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.